We are live. Muy buenas, compañeros de juego. Bienvenidos a una nueva edición de Fase de Mantenimiento. Seguimos en el Festival de Juegos de Mesa de Córdoba. Aquí este festival online, edición un poquito distinta, un poquito especial al resto de ediciones. Ya sabéis, por las circunstancias del COVID-19, tenemos que estar cada uno en nuestra casa. No podemos juntarnos y arrejuntarnos como hacíamos otros años en el Palacio de la Merced. Pero qué demonios, no queremos que este año os quedéis sin festival, no queremos que este año os quedéis sin actividades, sin eventos, sin entrevistas. Y recordaréis, del año pasado hicimos una entrevista, tuve ocasión, el honor de hacer una entrevista a Sandy Petersen, que vino a hablarnos de todo, de lo divino, de lo humano, de la llamada de Cthulhu, de todas las cosas, de los proyectos que saca un Petersen Games. Y este año vuelve aquí a Fase de Mantenimiento, al Festival de Juegos de Mesa de Córdoba, para seguir comentándonos las cositas, todas las novedades que trae la campaña de financiación de Return to Planet Apocalypse. Viene a hablarnos de la quinta edición, el módulo que ha sacado para quinta edición y de todo lo que dé la real gana, porque para eso él es Sandy Petersen y nosotros no, ¿de acuerdo? Sandy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Howdy from Texas, everyone.
Again, we are really pleased to have you here in this interview, on this edition, special edition of the Festival de Juegos de Mesa de Córdoba. We're going to start the interview, as I told you before, while we were out, we were in live, and you can talk wherever you want. This is your place, this is your time. What do you want to talk about?
Well, why don't we start by asking the questions, and I can the questions, if I get inspired to wander down lengthy reminiscences, we'll do that.
Okay, so we can start by the questions in the Twitter. Os traduzco lo que estamos comentando. Le he dicho que está en su casa, que puede hablar de lo que le dé la real gana. Dice que está encantado de estar aquí de nuevo y que vamos a comenzar, si queremos, pues las preguntas que habéis dejado en el Twitter. Esto lo estoy emitiendo el viernes, la entrevista la estoy grabando a martes, puse en mis redes sociales y lo compartí al festival de preguntitas que podíais hacerle a Sandy. Así que vamos a empezar aquí por las preguntitas que hicisteis. Gracias a Dios no habéis preguntado ninguna barbaridad. The first thing is not a question, is something we all think about. El mago said, thanks for everything. So,
you're welcome.
I agree with him.
It's been a pleasure.
Ignacio Sánchez Aranda, un abrazo al mago, un abrazo a Ignacio. He asked if this project, Los Mitos de Cthulhu Mitos, for the 5th edition of the most famous and most important game all around the world in the role-playing games, if this is a real personal project or it was something Wizards of the Coast told you to design. What is this exactly?
It has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. It wasn't my original idea. My former business manager pushed it for Pathfinder. And when I saw how well received the Pathfinder was, I decided that I wanted to do a expanded and even more in-depth Dungeons and Dragons one. So, and then expanding upon that, I said, fantasy and the mythos can mix, but I need to add more stuff, and that's where these sagas came from, which are like Ghoul Island.
Mm-hmm. Basically, we're going to talk about Ghoul Island, that is going to be released here in Spain in a few months. Le he preguntado la pregunta de Ignacio Sánchez Aranda, que la voy a abrir aquí para leerla. Le gustaría saber si es un encargo, si la obra de Los Mitos de Cthulhu es un encargo para sumarse a la ola de quinta edición o si es un proyecto enteramente personal. Sandy dice que no, que es un proyecto enteramente personal, que la idea es suya propia, que en un primer momento su anterior editor le comentó de hacerlo con Pathfinder, sacó un módulo para Pathfinder, que podéis encontrar dentro de la propia página de Petersen Games, eso no lo ha dicho él, pero lo digo yo, y que quería desarrollar más la idea en profundidad, que él piensa que los universos de Dungeons and Dragons y de el universo de los cristianos se pueden unir perfectamente y es básicamente lo que ha hecho. Y ha hablado de una campaña que ahora hablaremos un poquito más en profundidad de ella, que sacará dentro de poco la editorial hecha aquí en España, que se llama Ghoul Island, la isla del fantasma.
So with these sagas I've been doing, the Ghoul Island was sort of the first. The idea is that they are a hardback, really high quality role-playing campaign that lasts about 6 months in 4 volumes. And they've let me explore interesting ideas in the mythos and in role-playing that I've never been able to go into before with these huge campaigns. I've also done one, Yig Snake Granddaddy, which is about time travel. I've got one, Dark Worlds is coming out now in English, in which the players go to Yuggoth and they're adventuring on Yuggoth. And then there's more coming down the line. So I'm really excited. I really like these. I spend a lot of time organize. I don't write the actual campaign, but I do a 20 to 50 page outline with a lot of details about how the campaign has to progress and go. So they are my brainchild, which skilled authors turn into reality. Ghoul Island is the first, and I think it's got humor, it's got horror. Obviously, there's a volcano erupting in the end, so it's got action. Because in the end, it's Dungeons and Dragons, not Call of Cthulhu. I'm not trying to turn Dungeons and Dragons into Call of Cthulhu.
Añade a lo que hemos comentado que su idea con las sagas, él va a seguir una serie de sagas basadas en este mundo de los mitos de Cthulhu, aplicado a la quinta edición de Dungeons and Dragons. Utiliza el SRD de Dungeons and Dragons. Como bien sabéis, existe una particularidad con este juego. Se puede utilizar el sistema abierto, el sistema a través de la OGL, y él lo que hace es adaptar la OGL a este nuevo universo creado por él, a este mundo creado por él, con criaturas, con todo eso. Su idea con esta saga es una colección de juegos, una colección de módulos de tapa dura, de muy buena calidad, de 6 meses aproximadamente de duración, y que le dejen explorar una serie de ideas que no habían sido antes desarrolladas, como puede ser, por ejemplo, Juegos. Hay una campaña de la que hablaremos ahora también, que es la campaña de Granddaddy, que hace de viajes en el tiempo, es decir, darle un poco de variedad al asunto. Comenta también que él no escribe las campañas como tal, pero él es quien da las ideas principales, él da las líneas principales que deben seguir. Y, por ejemplo, con Ghoul Island le dio un toquecito de humor, le dio un toquecito de horror. No quiere convertir directamente esto en una llamada de Cthulhu en el universo de Dungeons and Dragons, sino que quiere que tenga una esencia propia. The third question is from a really, really good friend of mine, Héctor Gámez. Do you think it's necessary, this book?
What do you mean necessary? I mean, it's a game, right?
So, I don't know it. I only read the question.
Okay. I think it's necessary because if you play Dungeons and Dragons and your players play Dungeons and Dragons and you want to add cosmic horror to your fantasy campaign, this is the absolute best way to do it. I mean, if you want to play Call of Cthulhu, you can go play Call of Cthulhu, but this gives you cosmic horror that is added to Dungeons and Dragons. And furthermore, should I stop for you to translate and then talk about my furthermore? I have another topic I want to discuss about it. Okay. So one of the things I did is, in writing Sandy Petersen's Cthulhu Mythos, I was able to explore and go into a lot more detail about how the cults work, how the Great Old Ones work, how the Outer Gods work, how the creatures work, what is the culture of these animals that I didn't get to do in Call of Cthulhu. So actually it expands and goes into far more depth than I was able to do in the original Call of Cthulhu 40 years ago. So there's all kinds of fun information. The way that the Great Old Ones work, as environmental effects that intensify over time, the nature of the Lovecraft cults, which are all materialistic and in fact atheistic, because they don't care about an afterlife, they don't care about a theology, they just are getting stuff from the gods. Details about how the culture of the ghouls works, the culture of the deep ones. All this is stuff not found in Call of Cthulhu. So, here it is. And that material, that background material, although it's written for Dungeons and Dragons, is totally applicable and usable in Call of Cthulhu.
La pregunta de Héctor, que estaba en Twitter, un abrazo enormísimo a Héctor desde aquí, es que por qué es necesario, si es necesario realmente este juego, este módulo de quinta edición, Los Mitos de Cthulhu de Sandy Petersen. Él contesta que sí, que es necesario porque si juegas Dungeons and Dragons, si quieres meterle el universo de horror cósmico, no hay ninguna manera de hacerlo mejor que con este módulo. A él le gusta, la idea que tenía en un primer momento era explorar detalles como, por ejemplo, cómo funcionan los cultos internamente dentro del universo de lo que sería Dungeons and Dragons, por supuesto. Cómo funcionan los cultos, cómo funcionan las criaturas, cómo funciona el universo de los primigenios. Quiere expandir con más profundidad un montón de información que difícilmente vamos a encontrar en otros juegos de la llamada en otros juegos relacionados con el universo de los cristianos, como puede ser la llamada de Cthulhu, por ejemplo.
Let me give one example. In Call of it does not explain how Cthulhu's presence actually distorts and warps the 3D geometry of the world around him and how this spreads. But in Cthulhu Mythos, Sandy Petersen's Cthulhu Mythos, it does explain that. And that's useful in Call of Cthulhu, too. It's a terrifying effect.
Está comentando que, de hecho, ha puesto un ejemplo de elementos que funcionan dentro de este Cthulhu Mythos que no aparecen dentro de la llamada de Cthulhu. So,
my son just walked in. He is my assistant game designer. Lincoln, come wave antennae at the people from Spain.
From Spain.
Hello.
Hi, friend. How you doing?
This is Lincoln.
Acaba de saludar el hijo de Sandy. Acaba de comentar
Yeah.
que...
He is the author of the Evil High Priest game and the 8-Bit Attack game, and he is an associate author with me on the other games, and he is currently the head helping administer and edit the role-playing books.
How is working with your own song? Easy? Hard? How is working with your own song?
How is working with my son? Well, it's bad because it's awkward if I have to fire him. But it's good because we are. He likes different games than me. We like some of the same games. There's a lot of overlap, but it means that he does games that I couldn't do, and he has ideas. Like when I get writer's block and I go to him, he gives me really useful ideas that I can go down other approaches to whatever game I'm doing. And it works the other way too. Is sometimes I'm able to assist him on his games he's doing when he has the block, and so it's handy.
Le he preguntado que qué tal es trabajar con su propio hijo, que él dice que el hijo es asociado de Petersen Games y que aparte, por supuesto, es autor de otros juegos como Evil High Priest. Y le he preguntado que cómo es eso, que cómo es trabajar con el hijo. Dice, hombre, que un poco está mal, porque queda un poco raro despedirlo, pero que independientemente de eso, que ha venido a decir más o menos que se entienden, que se llevan bien dentro de lo que sería la edición de los juegos dentro de Petersen Games. Let's go to another question. What is your favorite edition of Dungeons and Dragons?
My what?
Your favorite edition. The one you
favorite
prefer.
edition of Dungeons and Dragons?
Yep. The third, the fourth. I hope it's not the fourth, please. The fifth.
I guess my favorite is the first edition of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or possibly the very first Dungeons and Dragons back in 1974, because that's when I played it, and I'd never played a role-playing game before, and this was something I played games, but this was something completely new, and I went into playing role-playing games. The first year it was published, we all played games, and a friend said, "I got this strange game called Dungeons and Dragons." And I said, "Why would you want to play in a dungeon?" I was thinking chains on the walls, people hanging, prisoners. Like, who wants to play a game there? He goes, "Well, no, it's interesting. You play an individual guy, and there's like traps and monsters and stuff." And I said, "I don't know." So we brought it by, and we played it, and it was like really interesting. Of course, the rules were extremely primitive and terrible, and almost unplayable. So we had to make up our own rules. But even that was pretty cool that we had to make up our own rules. And then, I mean, that's when it all started. I literally have been playing role-playing games since the first year it was possible. So I guess that is my favorite because it was like, you know, what started it all.
He preguntado que cuál es la pregunta ha sido de Alfredo, un abrazo enorme a Alfredo. Pregunta que cuál es su edición favorita de Dungeons and Dragons. Y dice que él estaría entre la primera de Advance o la primera original de 1974 que estuvieron jugando en un primer momento, que él era el primer juego real de RPG, de rol que jugaba, que antes había jugado otro tipo de juegos, pero que era la primera que jugaba ese tipo de juego, que claro, que le chocaba la atención eso de porque quiere jugar un juego en el que hay prisioneros enganchados a las paredes y cosas así, pero que le gustó mucho el mundo, hicieron sus propias reglas, fueron modificando y que desde entonces pues es una de sus pasiones, más o menos, es lo que ha venido a decir en esencia. So, no more questions. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about this. What is this? Where can we find here?
What you'll find in there is the most obvious thing is, of course, there's rules for all the monsters. You know, turn to D&D. And there's rules for all the great old ones. And the fun thing about the rules for the great old ones is that it treats them as as something that's affecting the universe, not as a big monster. So, for example, when Cthulhu starts off in stage 1, he has mental telepathy affecting you, and so everyone is getting these crazy visions. And there's also geometry of the universe changes, so that when you're running away from Cthulhu, it takes longer than when you're going back towards him. And then as he gets more powerful, this intensifies. Suddenly the visions start making some people start going insane or see wrong things, and the geometry warps more. So when you're trying to run away, instead you go in a circle and you come back to him. And then finally, the visions are like nightmarish things that are making whole nations go crazy, and the geometry is so twisted that angles break open and monsters come through from other dimensions, and it just keeps worsening, so you feel like the universe is falling apart. That's one of the things it has.
He preguntado que le he dicho que podemos hablar de cualquiera, que qué le parece si empezamos a hablar de Los Mitos de Cthulhu, y ya ha empezado a contar, ya se ha soltado, ya es él en su salsa. Dice, ha puesto un ejemplo de que podemos encontrar aquí el universo de los cristianos dentro de este mundo de fantasía medieval, que ha puesto un ejemplo de Cthulhu, cómo funcionaría el sistema de Cthulhu, que tenemos criaturas propias del universo de los cristianos aplicadas a este juego, las reglas de este juego. Ha puesto un ejemplo de Cthulhu cuando llegan en su primera fase y que comienzan las visiones, empieza a afectar mentalmente a los jugadores, que corre pero no puedes escapar, que acaba volviendo loca a la gente, que va teniendo pesadillas. Go on. What else can we find?
Other things we have, and obviously there's Lovecraftian magic items, and there's Lovecraftian spells, and the spells are different. They aren't just new spells that your magic user can cast. We changed the nature of spells so that we have Lovecraft rituals that anyone can do. The idea being that the cultists can do it no matter what level they are and never what class they are. So there's this fundamentally different type of magic that's going on that is appalling and dangerous. We also have rules for there's madness rules. You're going insane, and there's new character classes, and there's 4 new races you can be. You can be a ghoul. And you can either be a ghoul that was born a ghoul or a ghoul that used to be a person and got turned into a ghoul. The rules for both. And you can be, and usually you're a ghoul that's interested in humans for some reason. You can be a Nori, which is an aquatic race. Well, they can come on land, which can change the number of arms it has. You can be a Zoog from Lovecraft's Dreamlands, which are a very small animal that is very much into tricks and traps and creepy. So we have them be kind of malign and creepy and evil, but fun to play. And you can be a cat. Now, this is a cat that goes to the Dreamlands, and when he comes back, he's intelligence. We don't treat it as like a new kind of. It's a new kind of character, but it's just a cat. It's not giant and strong. It's not super intelligent. It's a cat. It likes to sleep. It's not always sentient because it can go to the Dreamlands and come back and then not be intelligent if it wants for a day and just be a regular cat. So it's a pretty crazy character class, and I think we have expanded the idea of what a character class could be with this.
Le he dicho que continúe hablando del libro y ha dicho que podemos encontrar objetos mágicos, hechizos nuevos, que cambian la naturaleza de cómo serían los propios hechizos y cómo lo van desarrollando los cultistas. Ha introducido nuevas reglas para la cordura, ha introducido nuevas clases y ha hablado de 4 razas. De las 4 razas que vamos a tener en el principio del libro, razas especiales aplicadas únicamente en este juego, bastante marcianas, por cierto, eso lo añado yo. Podéis jugar con un ghoul, podéis jugar con un Nori, podéis jugar con un Zug, podéis jugar con un gato. De hecho, I'm going to show the illustrations. Let's check. This is the cat, the Real Cat. Es el gato de los sueños, ha estado hablando de él, que dice que es una marcianada jugar con un gato, cosa que es la que coincide. I haven't had the chance yet to try the new creatures. Aquí tenemos... This is the Nori. We can find the Nori here. Really dangerous. We have another creature here. We have the ghoul. Look like a Genol, a typical Genol, but really special. Can be born or can be other way. And we have the last one, what I really love. What is the Thu? This kind of creature, tiny creature. Dangerous, scary,
and we go into details about how the cults work, Lovecraftian cults, what their structure is like, what's going on with them. We talk about the chochos, There's a lot of background material that is, I think, helpful for a game master, or not just D&D, anyone that wants to have these things in their campaign. So obviously it's aimed at all being useful in D&D.
Ha hablado de que de que aparte tiene otro tipo de desarrollo de cómo funcionan los cultos, entra más en profundidad de cómo funcionan los cultos, que no se puede aplicar solo al universo de D&D, sino que se puede llevar a otras cosas, como por ejemplo el tema de los chochos. Así en esencia que podemos... I want to show the cults, the part of the cults from the book. We have some cults here. Cult of the Black Goat. We have it here. 140. La verdad es que yo recomiendo... Le he podido echar un vistazo al libro ahora que no me entienden. Y apunta maneras, la verdad. We have here a cult, one of them. El culto del Gran Cthulhu. Out of the Great Cthulhu. We have them here in the book.
They're all there.
What else?
The most complete list or description of the cults and the gods and the creatures that is anywhere in the world. More complete than Call of Cthulhu's.
I will lie to you.
The first 40 years later, so
the first time I heard about this book, and I realized that it was 400 pages. I think to myself, oh my God,
I know.
I'm really crazy. What is he doing? Why is it so long? So many pages. Le estoy comentando que la primera vez que me enteré que existía este libro que estaba aplicado a la regla de quinta edición, joder, 400 páginas, que para volverse loco, que tenía dentro. Tuve ocasión de mirar la edición en inglés y ya entendí por qué todo lo que tiene la clase de profundidad que tiene el libro. This book doesn't include any kind of adventure. The adventures are apart. There is a campaign called Goal Island. What is the first campaign you have for this module? Tell us about something about this model.
So, Ghoul Island is an idea I've had for a fantasy horror campaign for a really long time, and I don't want to give away spoilers. But part of the mystery is that there's ghouls on the island, but they've always just been things that lived off in the forest and ate the occasional person. They eat the graves, and what happens in the adventure is the ghouls are starting up, joining with some people to make some kind of cult. But part of the mystery is that ghouls aren't really cultists. I mean, ghouls are agnostic. They don't care about gods, right? So why are the ghouls like fostering a cult among the humans? And of course, it's for their own reasons. And the deep ones get involved because the god is someone they're interested in. So there's deep ones and there's ghouls. And there's 4 hardback volumes, fully illustrated all the way through. I don't know if you have any of them there to see. Do you have any of the books there? Lincoln, can you grab me a
If you have one of them, you can show them.
There's 4 volumes, 60 to 80 pages each. So there's like 300 pages of adventure, and it's each single book is meant to cover about a month of role-playing games. 3 or 4 weeks evenings of play. Of course, let's see. There's side quests. See, here's this is Ghoul Island. Let's see. Here is that's Act 2. Here's Act 2 of Ghoul Island with fully illustrated, of course, with new creatures, all kinds of adventures and characters. Where's Act 1? Here's Act 1. I think we don't have a ghoul appear on the screen till later, but there's Act 1. That's the deep one, of course, and then all kinds of stuff. That's the boat you arrive in. There's a statuette that is important in the game. There's this character who might have deep one blood and has a pet cat. Act 3, where they have to clean up things that are going on, and again, ghouls are causing trouble. Not ghouls. This is when the deep ones launch an entire attack on the town, and you have to fight them off.
I won't translate it because
fight off the ghouls. Fight off the deep ones because this is their big chance. And the final thing, you're going into a volcano, and trying to get the statue of your own goddess, the city's goddess, into the volcano to make it erupt, so it will bury the evil cult. And so you're actually fighting through monsters to get to the heart of the volcano. Then it erupts and you have to get out of the volcano with the lava spreading everywhere. So it's pretty great.
Hasta le he preguntado que si, que vaya, que hay que este manual, el manual que os acabo de enseñar, no trae aventuras per se, pero que ha salido en inglés y ahora saldrá en español una campaña llamada Go Island. Ha estado enseñando los 4 módulos, en inglés van a ser 4 módulos, aquí en España, por lo que se comentó hace poco por parte de Edge, se va a editar todo en un solo módulo. I don't know if you know it, 2 weeks ago, the Edge, the publisher, Spanish publisher, said in an interview that it's going to be released in just 1 volume. The 4 volumes, just in 1. I don't know if you know it.
It's going to be a thick volume then.
I think so. Thicker than this.
All the art, I assume. So yeah, it'll be like that. Yeah, that's cool. No, that's cool.
It's great. No sabía que se va a editar por parte de Edge en un solo volumen, pero lo comentó hace un par de semanas en las virtuales, lo comentó Felipe. Un abrazo enorme a Felipe desde aquí. So, what other projects do you have related to the Cthulhu Mythos for 5th edition? For IE 5E.
What else do I have planned for it? We have the sagas, which are coming out. I assume that it's possible that Edge will publish some of them down the road.
I hope. I really hope so.
Because they're pretty great. They're all as good as Ghoul Island, and there's all kinds of interesting things. There's like I said, there's the travel. You go to Yuggoth on one of them. In fact, the first adventure at the end of it, an insane sorcerer sends you to Yuggoth, and he goes too. By accident. And then you're on Yuggoth and your bodies are modified so you can survive on Pluto, but it wears off after a while. So you have to get back to your planet before it wears off and you're frozen on Yuggoth. And the wizard who knows how to get you back, after he arrives, the fungi from Yuggoth remove his brain and put it in a can, and he won't go back with you until you get his brain. No, you get his body. You got his brain. So he won't help you. And meanwhile, you go to the moon of Pluto, which is inhabited by crystal aliens. There might be enemies or might be allies. The Watcher of the Green Pyramid breaks out of its thing and starts destroying the whole planet. It's crazy. So,
oh my, it's a crazy idea. It's really crazy. Le he preguntado si va a sacar aparte de esta campaña de Go Island, le he preguntado si va a seguir indagando, si va a seguir sacando módulos para Los Mitos de Cthulhu de quinta edición de Dungeons & Dragons, y dice que sí, que van a sacar lo que se llaman las sagas, que espera que lo pueda publicar Edge, ha comentado, y ha estado hablando de una de Yuggoth. I'm looking for it in your websites. I don't find it in your website. Que es una de las sagas y que básicamente me ha estado comentando por encima en qué consiste, que es una ida de olla en la que tenemos el cuerpo de un Yuggoth, hay uno de ellos que vamos a estar en Plutón. En fin, una auténtica ida de olla que esperamos que se publique más pronto que tarde. You have the sagas. What else do you have? Do you have?
Well, I wanted to mention the Yinkstate Granddaddy saga, which is about serpent men who are trying to bring their empire back from time, so it takes over the modern world. So they have this time travel event where they sacrifice people and bring things back, but they keep getting it wrong. They bring back the elder things, and they bring back the Yithians, and the Yithians have a civil war, and but it's so that's another fun thing. So something else we have coming though, going from there, is that we just recently did a Kickstarter called Return to Planet Apocalypse. It finished yesterday, big success, and in it, we have I think 325-page book, which is Sandy Petersen's Planet Apocalypse, which is how to use the Planet Apocalypse creatures and entities in Dungeons & Dragons. It's not in Spanish yet, but it's pretty fun. The idea behind it is really good, I think. Well, it's my idea, so I shouldn't say that. But the idea behind it is that when you play a role-playing campaign, it's not uncommon at some point in your campaign you kind of get to a finishing point, or you want to start a new one, and you want to play in Ravenloft now or something, right? Or Dark Heresy, and so you start playing another campaign, right? So you change campaigns. Well, the purpose of Planet Apocalypse for Dungeons & Dragons is to destroy your former campaign world. In other words, it is the apocalypse. Hell rises up, and these awful demons from the underhells are destroying your world, and that gives your world a great send-off and gives the player a really interesting adventure to have at the end of their campaign. And then when you're done with it, you go on and you play Ravenloft or whatever you're going to play. And your whole world, it's literally, you can use it 3 ways. One is you can use it just to destroy your world, and have a whole campaign about destroying your world. And this one does have adventures in it. You can use it for, it's designed to work with any world. You can use it to threaten to destroy your world, and if the players save it, they save it, and if they don't save it, they don't save it. And you can just take the cool new monsters and demons and underhell stuff and add that to your campaign, if you don't want to destroy your world. But that's an idea I don't think has been done before in a role-playing game, to actually destroy your world.
I don't think so. Ha estado comentando que también existe otra campaña que se llama Jig Snake Granddaddy, que va sobre el universo de los hombres serpiente, que viajan en el tiempo, que pretenden recuperar su mundo anterior, y parece ser que la lían bastante parda, traen a los primigenios, que la lían bastante bien. Y después nos comenta que, aparte, tiene otro relacionado con el universo que pretende continuar, pero un poco más distinto en ese sentido, que tenía en campaña de financiación hasta ayer un juego que se llama Return to Planet Apocalypse, que se divide en 2 partes, se divide en una parte de juego de mesa y una parte de juego de rol, y que la premisa que tiene es totalmente distinta. Tiene en torno a 300-500 páginas, y que su idea es que cuando tú juegas a una campaña de cualquier tipo de juego, puedes jugar en Ravenloft, puedes jugar en Waterdeep, puedes jugar en cualquier sitio en Fyro, pero que la premisa que tiene este juego, la premisa que tiene Planet Apocalypse es...
Yeah.
My wife.
Oh,
Say hello,
hi.
Sandy.
Hola.
Hi. Hola, ¿qué tal?
Just got back from the airport.
Great. I was telling them about the translation. I carry on. El que Planet Apocalypse, la premisa que tú tienes cuando estás jugando un juego de rol es jugar en Ravenloft, jugar en Waterdeep. ¿Qué particularidad tiene este? Que lo puedes enfrentar de 3 maneras distintas. Una, destruir el mundo, destruir el universo en el que has jugado previamente. 2, amenazar con destruir el mundo, lo destruyo o no. O la tercera, traer unos monstruos horribles al universo. So, the third idea of bringing monsters to the world, it reminds me to a video game. You have to be something with some game called Doom.
Yes, Planet Apocalypse, the board game was the second game I was planning to design after Cthulhu Wars, and it was going to be based not licensed from it, but the same concept as Doom. Hell coming to the modern world, and we have to stop the demons. In fact, originally, I was going to have Adrian Carmack, the artist from Doom, who had retired, to do the art for it. But there was delays in getting it done, and Adrian moved to Ireland, and so we didn't get him. But we got Keith Thompson, who has worked extensively with Guillermo del Toro, the director, on his work, yes, and done other movie things, and he is the artist of the Planet Apocalypse. But it is very strongly based on the Doom concept. In fact, in the original campaign, we had the Spider Mastermind, and in the new campaign, we have basically a character who's like the Doom guy, and we have a cyber demon.
Claro, al hablar de las 3 particularidades, de estos 3 modos de juego que tendría, de estos 3 modos de llevar una campaña que tendría Planet Apocalypse, la tercera, que es la de traer los monstruos al universo, me ha recordado mucho a Doom. Para los que no lo conozcáis, Sandy creó para Doom, para el juego de Ivy Software, creó muchos de los escenarios, creó muchas de las aventuras, participó activamente en el desarrollo del juego. Y claro, dice que cuando él terminó el juego de Cthulhu Wars, que él tenía la idea de su segundo juego en mente, y que era esto, que de hecho incluso en un primer momento quería contar con Adrian Carmack, que fue uno de los artistas que participó en Doom, pero que finalmente se mudó a Irlanda y no pudo participar, y que ha contado con Keith Thompson, que ha colaborado con directores como Guillermo del Toro, que de hecho en el propio juego hay algunas criaturas como Spider Mastermind, que es una, no sé si conocéis el universo Doom, la araña gigante con la que te enfrentas, y que incluso tiene un... What other creature did you mention? The Spider Mastermind and the other one?
The cyber demon.
The cyber demon. Y el monstruo gigante este cornudo que tiene patas de cabra, que va lanzando, tiene un bazooka en el brazo. Go on, please.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you have?
What else I have for you?
Yeah.
We have, let's see. We have the Hyperspace game getting close to publication, which I'm very excited about. because we're actually setting up a series of games based on it. Because the Hyperspace game, which you can play right now on Tabletop Simulator, also you can play Planet Apocalypse there, is my Space 4X game. And in addition to the strategy game, we have a tactical spaceship combat game where you fly a ship against one other ship. And we also have a role-playing game. I'm going back to role-playing, where I'm writing a whole new game, and it's the Hyperspace role-playing game. And I've been playtesting that. So there's a tactical space combat game, there's a strategy game, and there's a role-playing game all coming for Hyperspace. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully, they will all or make it into Spanish at some point. We'll have to see.
Le he preguntado que qué más proyectos tiene así en mente y nos está comentando que Hyperspace, el juego del que pudimos hablar en la entrevista anterior, ve si quiere la entrevista del año pasado que tuvo ocasión de hacerle en Córdoba, ya estuvo hablándonos de Hyperspace, es un 4X que tiene desarrollado él. De hecho, comenta que se puede jugar ahora mismo, podéis jugarlo en Tabletop Simulator, podéis echarle un vistazo. También podéis jugar a Planet Apocalypse, es un juego 4X de combate espacial con muchísimas criaturas lovecraftianas, muchísimo universo lovecraftiano dentro del propio juego de naves, para los que os gusten los juegos tipo, yo que sé, Eclipse, Shia, ese tipo de juegos, y que tiene en mente hacer un Hyperspace, un juego de rol, con su librito y todas sus cosas. Any Spanish publisher for any of these products?
I mean, we're always interested in working with the Spanish partner. If any publishers are watching this, contact us. I'm sure you know how to get a hold of us. We are keenly interested in talking to you and making whatever deals are necessary.
Great.
If you have for what publishers would be good to talk to, you can email them to me, and I will have my business manager shoot them a letter.
Great. Le he preguntado si alguno de estas cosas, si alguno de estos proyectos, Hyperspace o el propio libro de rol en su momento cuando lo saque, o Planet Apocalypse, si tiene algún editor ahora mismo que le haya echado el ojillo. Me comenta que no, pero que está abierto a cualquier tipo de propuesta, que si algún editor español está viendo esto, que comente, que le escriba y que se pondrá en contacto con su director editorial para que saquen el juego en español, que en el fondo es lo que todos queremos, no nos engañemos. So, I think we have talked about plenty of things.
We have talked about plenty of things, and we're finishing ahead of time, which should be good in case there's a delay on your video. If we have no more questions, I'm good to go.
So I think we're done. We're finished here.
Okay.
Sandy, thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
Again. And we hope to see you again there in Córdoba, but physically, with your great wife. There.
Well, I would love to come. I won't push it because I know you have other things to do. But obviously, it would be great. I would certainly say yes if it worked out for you guys.
Le he invitado a que venga el año que viene a Córdoba, le he dado muchísimas gracias por la entrevista y, en fin, que espero que nos veamos físicamente todos el año que viene, no solo Sandy y yo, sino que nos veamos todos físicamente el año que viene en el Festival de Córdoba. Sandy, thank you so much for this interview. See you next time.
Okay.
De vosotros, ya sabéis, comentarios aquí abajo en la cajita de comentarios, dejadme las cositas que os ha parecido, la entrevista y muchísimas gracias por estar ahí. Nos vemos en el siguiente vídeo, nos vemos en el tablero. Chao, familia.